What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It's HorrorFan34, and welcome to another video. And welcome to day 27 of the 31 Days of Horror Challenge in October. Now we are getting on to day 27 of the challenge. And this one's going to be a little bit different, because this is going to be a tough film to review. Because I tell you, I've only seen this film once, 10 years ago. And I have not watched it since, but it's still in my mind to this day, ever since I saw this back in the day. Like 10 years ago I saw this. And I haven't watched it since because it truly was very disturbing. And still to this day, I still get those visions in my head of myself watching this. Because I've heard a lot about the film. People say, like, oh, it's the best cannibal film out there. It's like the found footage film that really inspired films like Blair Witch and things like that. And things like that. And you can tell by the title already of the video, that review is going to be on Cannibal Holocaust. The most controversial film ever, or movie ever made. And even has a quote on the back from Eli Roth. The most disturbing, shocking film I have ever seen. And that's coming from a guy like Eli Roth, who did Hostel and a lot of other stuff. But, I mean, the basic idea with Cannibal Holocaust, basically it's about, like, these people that are watching this video. About, like, these people that went missing out in the jungle, where all these cannibals were at. And they went missing, and then they found their footage, and now the people, like, along with the viewer, are watching their video footage about them when they went into the jungle and when they went missing and what happened to them and things like that. Now, like I said, it's not really an easy film for me to review because, I tell you, I wasn't really too sure of picking this for the 31 Days of Horror Challenge, but I had to talk about this film because I think it is the best cannibal film out there. But I tell you, it's not an easy sit-through because of, the violence and how graphic it is, and a lot of this stuff was actually real. I mean, it's directed by Ruggero Deodato, who's I think an Italian filmmaker or film director. I think he's Italian. And the best thing about the film, I would say, is the musical score. The musical score is the best thing about the movie, in my opinion. The musical score, I don't know who did the music to this or not. I don't know. But I don't want to show the case inside because there's a lot of disturbing images on it. But the musical score is fantastic. I mean, if you look up, I don't know if you can look up like the music to this film or not, but if you listen to the score is very, very well done. And like I said, it's really tough to review this just because of how realistic it is and how real it actually was that happened. I mean, this film was so realistic, and a lot of the stuff did happen in the film. The director and some of the people that behind this film went to jail for a year or two or a couple years because of, the brutality about this film. I mean, there is an option on here, though, where you can watch it without... I mean, I'm going to get right into... But it's going to be really disturbing, so be warned of what I'm going to say. Because I remember the first time not only the first time, but the only time I ever sat through this, because I heard a lot about it, and I heard it was a great cannibal film, and it was like the most disturbing film ever, and I can definitely see why. Sorry. And I haven't watched it since, because it's a well-made film, it's very well directed, and, great music, but it truly is very disturbing, and it's still to this day, 10 years later, this film still has images in my head that I can't get rid of. Because, be warned of what I'm going to say, because I think the hardest thing to watch about this film is the animal violence, because they kill a lot of real animals. And you would think, like, with animals and all that stuff, it's like effects or, things like that. No, this one is actually, they kill real animals. Like, when they're watching the footage about the people that went missing and they found their footage, because they ran out of food and things like that, and so in order to survive out there, they have to eat animals. So I know one of the animals they kill is a muskrat. I think another one might have been a monkey. I cannot remember for sure. But I think they killed an alligator as well. But the one that really got to me the most was the turtle, because I tell you, the turtle scene when they killed this big turtle, I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the simplest way. I mean, basically what they do is they kill the turtle, and they peel the shell open, and you see the guts inside the turtle. It's all real. Excuse me, I'm burping. Just thinking about this. But, I tell you what, and, like, the guts and all that stuff are, like, really, like, yellowy and greasy looking. I tell you, and to put it in the best way possible, I couldn't look at a pizza or a cheese pizza the same way for at least a couple weeks. I mean, whenever I saw like a cheese pizza or any kind of pizza, I couldn't think of a pizza the same way for the next couple weeks, because like that turtle scene just had me really, really disturbed. I mean, the fact that this was, and that's like the kind of stuff I didn't like watching on the film, was the animal violence, because I'm a big dog guy, and I have 2 dogs, and I would hate if anything happened to my dogs. So like seeing that animal violence on there just really is just very hard to watch. I know on the DVD there is an option where you can cut that out, and then like you can watch a version that doesn't have that stuff in it. So if you want to watch it that way, you can do it that way. And I probably would stick to it doing that, because you don't want to see that turtle and things like that. And and on top of that too, the things that the people did, like when they're watching the footage, the people that went missing and what they do to like these villagers and things like that, it's really horrible what they do. They burn down they're burning down their villages, and there's violence, things like that. A lot of blood. It's truly disturbing what these people that they found on the footage are doing to the villagers that out in the jungle. And of course, the villagers out there are cannibals, and they kill the people on the footage. You get some really disturbing scenes, like especially you have the one where a woman has a stake through her, like a long metal stake pole, and it like out of her mouth, like up like this, coming out of the roof of her mouth. You have that shot in the film, and like I said, very, very disturbing stuff. The people they find on the footage are not likable people because of what they did to these villagers and things like that, because they burned down their villages, and they were doing stuff to the women and in the villages, and they're not likable characters, the people on the footage. But like I said, I knew this was the film that was going to be tough for me to review, because a lot of stuff in here did happen for real, and you can see why the people that made the film went to jail for a little bit, because of how realistic it was, and how most of it was actually real, like real animal killings and things like that. It's very, very disturbing stuff. And like I said, the best thing about the film is the musical score. If you can find the score to this film somewhere, I would definitely give it a listen, because it's really good music, very creepy music too. That's like the best thing about the film is the music. And I really like the actor who played, I think, Robert Kerman. I think that was the guy. He's like one of the guys that they're showing. He's like the main guy they're showing the footage to. He's like an investigator and things like that. I really like Robert Kerman in the film. I think he's good. And like I said, and this really, what you can see why films like Blair Witch and all that stuff were inspired by this, because it was kind of like one of the first films that dealt with the handheld camera footage and filming like a documentary kind of like thing, and that kind of inspired films like Blair Witch and Cloverfield and things like that, a lot of found footage films nowadays. But I mean, if you want to see a good cannibal film, I would recommend it. But I'm going to give you a word of warning. It's a very, very disturbing film with a lot of animal violence and things like that. And I tell you, that's why I haven't watched it in 10 years, just because of those animal scenes and things like that. It just really get to you. I mean, it's a very disturbing film. So that's pretty much it for my review for Cannibal Holocaust. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said before, sitting through that animal violence and all that stuff, it was really hard to sit through because, it's really awful to see animals being killed, and especially knowing they were real animals that were killed, like the turtle and the alligator and the monkey and the muskrat. It's really disturbing to know that was actually real. Things like that. It's very, 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 very disturbing. And that animal violence I did not like. But that's pretty much it for my review for Cannibal Holocaust. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.